Let's be honest. We all tried those recipes on TikTok that seem really easy to make and turn out really good, but when you make it, it's nothing like how it was in the video. But I guess it's just how it is. Some of us just aren't meant to be culinary experts, like Greg Heffley here. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be reading a story where Greg is a chef in his own restaurant. Now, I've read some of this story already, and it looks like he's actually pretty good at cooking. Something that I wish I could also be good at, but I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. I'll just stick to my grilled cheese sandwiches, thank you. But I'm actually pretty excited for this story because I really do like watching all these cooking shows and everything. But let's just hop into the first page and see how Greg became a chef and created his own restaurant. Monday. Every few months, my school spends at least one day teaching us some important life skill. Last time it was reproduction and it didn't go well. Well, when a mommy and daddy love each other very much, 5 minutes later, this time around, it was all about the magic of cooking. But let me tell you, giving kitchen appliances to a bunch of 7th graders is not a good combo. Oh shit, especially if you got Fregley in the mix. Look at him with that blender thingy. I decided to try and ignore the wild animals in the classroom and got straight to work. After a few minutes, I put the finishing touches on a sandwich I made, and it tasted great. Whoa. I can already see myself achieving great things as a chef. Greg Heffley awarded 2nd Michelin star. Also, I've heard people say that women love a man who can cook. That might actually make it worth it to open a restaurant. Can I get you girls anything? If I want to go ahead with this restaurant idea, I'm going to need an investor. So after school, I called Rowley and proposed the idea of opening our own place. We're going to start our own restaurant. Although Rowley obviously isn't as good as a chef as I am, his dad is pretty rich, which will come in handy. I told Rowley I'll come over to his place in 15 minutes so we can discuss the details of this new business opportunity with his dad. This is a foolproof plan. I can feel it. Once I arrived at Rowley's house, I explained my plan to Mr. Jefferson, but for some reason, he didn't seem to be on board. Mr. Jefferson told us he'd be willing to give us some money to get started, but there's a catch. He needed to go run some errands, so if we could create a great meal for him to eat when he gets back, he'd give in. Once Mr. Jefferson left the house, Rowley said he wanted to make a pancake. But I knew if we were going to get that money, we needed to knock Mr. Jefferson's socks off. I grabbed a cookbook laying on one of the tables and flipped through it a little before I decided we would make a pizza. From what I could tell, first I needed to get my ingredients ready, but I couldn't find any tomato sauce, so I just figured I could use ketchup as a substitute. Oh god, this is going to be an interesting pizza, that's for sure. I started working on the base and things were looking good. After a while I tried to get a bit fancy and started tossing my base into the air and catching it, but that turned out to be a mistake. I decided about now that if we wanted that money, we were gonna need to cut corners. So while Rowley was cleaning up our mess in the kitchen, I called up a local pizza place and asked for a pizza. When Mr. Jefferson was back, I just gave him that pizza on a plate and claimed it was mine, and he was none the wiser. Now that we have an investor, we need to start setting up the rest of the things we need for the restaurant. I gave Rowley the task of making the flyers, but this is what he came up with. Awesome restaurant. Rowley obviously doesn't know anything about a business, so I ended up making the flyers. I sent Rowley out to buy some tables, chairs, cutlery, etc., so we could start setting up the place in his backyard. It turned out looking really good. Rowley still didn't like that I ended up tricking his dad by ordering the pizza instead of making it myself, but when I saw the table set up in the yard, I was glad I did it. Then, after we were done setting up the tables, Shirag suddenly popped up behind the fence. What are you guys doing? Apparently Shirag is into cooking, so when I told him we were opening a restaurant, he asked if he could join us. While I was still going to be the head chef, I figured I could let him be my assistant. The last thing I needed to do was create a menu, so with a little help from Shirag, I set out to make one. We are doing some great work together. Tuesday. Today was the big day of our opening, and let me just say that things went quite well. A lot of people liked the food. Surprisingly, Shirag's culinary skills were pretty good. Not only did our food taste great, we were also able to put out plates quickly thanks to our hard work in the kitchen. While we were preparing the dishes, Rowley was serving our customers. Overall, it was a pretty successful first day. Wednesday. Yesterday was a really good day for the restaurant, and if I'm gonna capitalize off of the success, I'm gonna need to do something big. On the walk to school, I tried coming up with some ideas with Rowley, but he turned out to be useless. That's when I saw a poster for the school fair and I had an idea. During the school fair, I'm going to set up a stand and give people free samples of our food. That should be enough to get people to swoon over our restaurant. I spent the rest of the day working on signs and posters, but it was all gonna be worth it. During the night, I dragged Rowley down to the fair and he set up our stand while I put up our posters. I noticed someone had taken the spot next to the entrance, and that just wasn't gonna cut it. After I finished setting up the posters, I sat down at our booth and slowly, people started to show up. I sent Rowley out to go into the rest of the fair and hand out our food, while I sat back and gave people flyers. More and more people were showing up, and eventually I ran out of both free samples and flyers to give out. So I busted out a notebook and started planning out what to do next with the restaurant. That's when Albert Sandy appeared out of nowhere holding one of our flyers. Hey Greg, Albert told me our flyers were terrible. I could do a way better job. He claimed that he had worked as the head of marketing at his father's business. Being the businessman I am, I sensed an opportunity. So I challenged Albert to make a better poster than I had made. He agreed on one condition. If he didn't end up making a better flyer than mine, he'd join our business and get a cut of the profits. I don't like to admit it, but he did end up delivering on his claims. Greg Steron. That's a really clever name, I'll give him that. Open 6 to 10, Monday to Sunday. 24 Surrey Street, Plainview. Our food cures cancer. What? It was annoying that I had to give up another 10% of my cut to get Albert in, but I guess every owner needs to invest in his business. And believe it or not, it turns out Albert Sandy knew what he was talking about. We opened up shop the next day and we were filled to the brim with customers. And one very special one at that. This was finally my chance to impress Holly Hills. But there was one problem. I knew if Rowley was the waiter for the Hills family, he'd say something dumb and make them want to leave. So I needed to be the waiter from now on. I told Rowley he needed to become security for the restaurant. He seemed a little hesitant, but once I gave him a suit and a badge, he was up for it. Although this might have been a mistake because I think the badge was starting to get into Rowley's head. Man, the food here stinks. Say that again, pal. Anyways, I ran back home and searched through Dad's closet for the fanciest stuff I could find. And I gotta say, I was looking pretty sharp. Wait, so you're telling me that they've been sitting at the table the whole time that he made Rowley, the security guy, ran back to, or I guess they don't even live that far from each other, but still, ran back to his house, found a suit, and then ran back to take the order. They would have been waiting for like at least 20 minutes just to order their food. So if that was me, I would have walked out by then, but I guess the hype for this place is just crazy. I headed back to Rowley's house and walked over to the Hills family. I started taking down their orders, and I wanted to show off a little and speak a bit of French, but that didn't go well. Alright guys, you ready? I'm about to speak some French. Et toi, j'ai vu pizza au fromage s'il vous plaît. I think I said that right. I'm not gonna lie, I probably butchered that shit, but you know what, I did my best. Haha, yes, oui. I got out of there as fast as possible and walked into the kitchen. But before I could even say anything, Chirag grabbed my clipboard and read it. Why did you write uh-oh? I explained the entire situation to him and he seemed kinda worried. I handed him our menu and told him to randomly pick something on there. Chirag ended up making her a serving of pasta and meatballs. I think he got it right. But if he didn't, Holly didn't seem to care. Enjoy your food. Thanks. The rest of the evening went smoothly after that, and everyone seemed to be having a good time. But when I presented the Hills family their check, Holly's dad said he needed to talk to me. At first I was worried he was going to tell me that we got Holly's order wrong. I took him to a more private part of the yard, fully prepared to be yelled at. But instead, he gave me a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Would you be open to having an investor? Apparently, he was so impressed by my cooking that he wanted to invest. But that wasn't the only good news. He told me a friend of his had a small place available for us to rent. Wait a second, his cooking? He's not doing any cooking, that's all Chirag. This guy's really taking credit for all of that, wow. Sunday. I've been really busy setting up the new place lately. I ended up accepting Mr. Hill's proposal. So now I finally have an actual restaurant. With my supervision, Rowley finally finished setting up the tables today. You're doing great, Rowley. The kitchen is state of the art. and Chirag seemed really happy with it. Just as I was about to call it a day, Bryce Anderson suddenly walked in. "Hey Greg, I've heard your restaurant has been a great success, so I've decided to set up my own. It's annoying that we have some new competition, but I doubt his restaurant will be able to pose much of a threat to us. I'll see what I can do about Bryce." Tuesday. Our new place has finally opened its doors and business is booming. But I can't say the same for Bryce's restaurant. Believe it or not, but Bryce is actually posing as competition. I tried to pay him some money to close down shop, but it didn't work. You're kidding, right? Yesterday, I told Albert to create some posters to badmouth Bryce's business, but I think he's getting paid off by Bryce. You got it, boss. On the walk to school, I tried coming up with some ideas to stop Bryce with Rowley, but I was questioning the legality of some of them. Are buying flamethrowers illegal? I was having more and more trouble coming up with ideas, and that's when I saw what was on Tony's Pizzeria's door. Sanitary inspection grade C. The health inspectors are showing up on Friday. If they think the sanitation in Bryce's restaurant is bad, they can get him shut down. Problem is, when I went to Bryce's restaurant earlier to bribe him, everything was squeaky clean. The only way I'm gonna get Bryce's place shut down is if I fill his place up with bugs myself. I asked Rowley if he wanted to do some bug catching with me after school, and he agreed. After school ended, Rowley and I headed to the park, and I ran into my first roadblock. Butterflies definitely weren't going to shut Bryce's place down, so I told Rowley butterflies were actually venomous and could kill him. That ended up backfiring and Rowley became no help at all. I decided to forget about Rowley and spent the rest of the day catching as many creepy crawlies as I could. I didn't think about how many jars I would need to hold the bugs, so I needed Rowley to keep some of them in his house, or else I would have to put these things all over my house. I knew if I told Rowley my real plan, he wouldn't take along. So I told him that I was going to be playing a fun little prank on Bryce, and believe it or not, he bought it. Thursday. After arriving at Bryce's restaurant, I ran into a problem. Bryce was outside talking with one of his friends. I was going to need to distract him. Luckily, Rowley was still with me, so I sent him over to draw their attention. The voices are talking to me. I don't know why Rowley decided to scream such creepy thing, but his acting was very convincing, so I was able to sneak past unnoticed. When I entered Bryce's kitchen, I could finally set my plan into action. I could already imagine Bryce's reaction to the rating the health inspection is going to give him. As I was daydreaming about the success my own restaurant was going to get after Bryce went out of business, I heard a door opening behind me. It was Bryce. "What are you doing here?" "Just looking for the, bathroom?" Bryce gave me a suspicious look, but decided to shrug it off. He told me where the bathrooms really were, and left. After that, I finished putting in the last of the bugs, and got out of there. Friday. Success. I guess I do feel a bit bad for Bryce, but hey, it's nothing personal, just business. Sunday. I couldn't believe my luck. Today I was eating some breakfast and reading the latest Lil Cutie comic, and Dad walked into the kitchen. He patted me on the back and handed me a letter that looked pretty important. "That's my son." I opened it up carefully while Dad still stayed there, grinning, and I could not believe what I saw in the letter. I ran over to the kitchen phone and called up Rowley. I had to tell him about this. "Hey Rowley, tomorrow we're the fanciest thing you can find to work. We're gonna be on the news tomorrow." After that, I relayed the message to the rest of my team, and they all reacted pretty much how I expected. Then I got my suit ready to wear tomorrow. It's gonna be a big day. Monday. Today's the day. I woke up earlier than usual and borrowed one of Dad's suits. "No, wait, Greg, I need that for work today." Once I arrived, I got out a pack of notes to say that I had written last night and worked my way through the crowded new staff. I got to the kitchen and the rest of the gang were busy setting up, and a few makeup artists were doing touch-ups to make sure we looked good on TV. And after 30 minutes of that, the camera started rolling. I guess my notes got a little mixed up when I was walking through the news crew, because when it was my turn to speak, things didn't go too well. "Here is the CEO, Greg Heffley." And then I said, "Check behind your ear." I decided to ditch the notes, and I explained to the news crew how I built this place from the ground up. Rowley stayed by my side the entire time, laughing at the wrong cues and sweating frantically. I took the news crew to the kitchen, and Chirag had demonstrated how we made food here. After that, they interviewed Mom and Dad. Wednesday. Today was the day that they were airing my interview. I have to say, I was pretty happy with how it turned out. Introducing, perhaps the most talented cook ever, Greg Heffley. However, I got a call afterwards from Rowley, and he didn't seem as pleased as I was. Couldn't you have mentioned Shirag and me at least once? Well, it was my idea, and I did most of the work, so I just told Rowley to deal with it. Friday. Ever since the interview aired, we've been fully booked. All of us have been working hard, and I think it has taken its toll on Shirag. He has been trouble keeping up with the orders. Table 4 has been waiting for an hour. Luckily though, I'd watched enough Gordon Ramsay to know how to get him back on track. You fucking donkey, get me the fucking steak for table 4. After I cursed at him, Shirag flipped. I'm so done with you, Greg. I quit. I don't know what got into him, but I knew someone had to step up. So I rushed into the toilet to change into my chef's outfit. I must say, it looked really good on me tonight. I walked back into the kitchen and took a look at the list of orders. They seemed easy enough, and I decided to start out with the cheese pizza. I got out the pots and pans and turned on the radio and got straight to work. Things were going well up until I had to bake it. I wasn't sure which temperature to use, so I decided to wing it. Things really went to pot when I opened the oven before turning it off, which wasn't a good idea in hindsight. Just when Rowley showed up and saw the mess, he quickly ran over and handed me a fire extinguisher, and I pointed the nozzle the wrong way. I figured it was every man for himself and bolted out the door. Soon after the firefighters arrived, it was all ruined. The place had burned down completely. Everyone managed to get out safely, but there was no saving the restaurant. Saturday, I've decided to avoid cooking for a while. Speaking of avoiding, it's going to be a hard time for me to get around Plainview for some time. The end. Okay, and that was the end of the story. I have to admit, I thought that Greg was going to be doing most of the cooking and he was basically going to be like Gordon Ramsay. I mean, I guess we did get a little bit of that when he yelled at Shirag, but I really thought he was going to be like doing most of the cooking. He was actually going to be good at cooking. I mean, pretty much all he did was just make a sandwich and order a pizza from, I think it's Tony's. So I don't know, I kind of wanted to see more of him cooking, but it was still a really good story. I feel so bad for Bryce though. I guess he was kind of being a dick. He just wanted to have a restaurant to like piss off Greg and get him to pay him to shut it down, but still, that's not right what he did to Bryce. But that's gonna do it for the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Diary of a Wimpy Kid fanfiction stories. If you have any recommendations of stories to read in future videos, leave them in the comments and I'll add it to the list. But that's gonna do it for me. I hope all you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.